Hello, welcome back to the channel. Today we've got 10 more infinite or instant win combos with Avatar, Magic the Gathering. This set is looking really cool. A lot of really cool combos and some fun stuff that you can do with it. So let's jump right into our first combo with infinite combat steps using the new Boomy Unleashed. 5 mana for a 5/4. With Trample, when it enters you Earthbend 4, but it says whenever it deals combat damage to a player, you untap all lands you control. And after this phase, there's an additional combat phase, and only land creatures can attack during that combat phase. However, if you have a Shaya out, the Soul of the Wild, this says all non-token creatures you control are forests in addition to their other types. So essentially it makes Boomy into a forest, which is a land, so he would be able to attack in the additional combat step. So if you have both of these cards out, Boomy hits them, it triggers, you get to untap all your lands, including Boomy, and then attack with Boomy again and get another combat step and just go infinite. If you can just keep attacking, get infinite combat steps, infinite damage. If you're playing Commander, maybe just win the game instantly. So a nice kind of 2-card instant win combo, potentially if the board is set up right for that, or if you like pump him a bunch or give him indestructible, something like that could be pretty good. But yeah, this is a pretty cool kind of 2-card one-shot combo. All right, let's go to the next infinite airbending combo. I talked about this one in the first video a little bit, but this is another way to get infinite airbending, and we actually got some really good airbending cards that were spoiled this past week too. Aang the Swift Savior being one of them. Appa is really good as well. Both of these have flash and flying and just pretty good cards on their own, but they can kind of target each other with their airbending abilities, and when you do that, it can create an infinite loop of casting them over and over again if you can reduce the cost of these cards by 2 or more, because when you airbend something, the cost changes to 2 mana. And so if you use something like Will Sign a Peace, this one is standard legal. You can tap it, says spells you cast this turn that are white or blue cost X less to cast, where X is the amount of life you gain this turn. Activate it as a sorcery. So if you've gained 2 life or more life, you can tap that. All your spells are reduced by 2 or more. And then it reduces the cost of Appa and Aang itself, so you could play Appa, you know, if you want to airbend something you can. If not, you just play Aang again, and then target your Appa. It goes to exile essentially, but it costs 0 to play again, and then you can target Aang, goes to exile, costs 0 again, just keep airbending over and over again. That will trigger Appa's last ability. Whenever you cast a spell from exile, you create a 1/1 ally token, so you get basically infinite ally tokens here, which is pretty nice. You also get infinite enter the battlefield effects, or leaves the battlefield effects. If you have anything that does damage when a creature comes into play or gains a life, you can get infinite of those effects. But Appa itself gives you infinite tokens, so that's pretty good too, which you can then actually use to waterbend Aang as well if you want to. But there's other airbending cards too that you can kind of use with this combo. These are kind of maybe the best ones that you could do, but I thought Will works pretty well with these because it's in the colors of all the airbending cards and works nicely. You do have to find a way to gain life, but that's not too hard if you have some life gain enablers as well. So that's airbending, and we got instant win combo with new Iroh Tea-Master. This one's pretty fun card. Want to brew around this one for sure on this channel, but it's 3 mana for a 2/2. When it enters, you make a food token. At the beginning of combat on your turn, you can have target opponent gain control of target permanent you control. And when you do, you make a 1/1 white ally, put a +1/+1 counter on the token for each permanent you own that your opponents control. So essentially, this is like a way to donate your cards to your opponent. And there are some cards that you would kind of want to do that have like negative effects. One of the ones that kind of gives you an instant win combo is the 9 lives, which is 3 mana for an enchantment. It's got hexproof. It prevents damage. You put counters on it. But most importantly, it says when 9 lives leaves the battlefield, you lose the game. So if you can donate 9 lives to your opponent with Iroh, and then find a way to destroy it or exile it, or just have it leave the battlefield, then you instantly win the game because your opponent will lose the game. So you could even curve these into each other. Iroh into 9 lives into Iroh, and then donate right away. And then if you cast something like Patrician's Scorn, you would just destroy all enchantments, which would destroy the 9 lives, and your opponent would instantly lose the game. So that could be as early as turn 4, or I mean, if you have mana acceleration on turn 1, I guess as early as turn 3, you could do this. It's really nice with Patrician Storm because you can cast it for free because you played a white spell. Both of these are white spells. There's a lot of other cards that could destroy all enchantments or exile all enchantments. You obviously can't target the 9 lives, but effects that say destroy all, things like that would work with this combo. Could be pretty good in Commander, maybe even in Modern. I don't know. It's kind of a 3-card combo, but something to consider for some fun instant win combo. Okay, let's go to the next one, which generates infinite green mana with the new Badger Mole Cub. 2 mana for a 2/2. When it enters, you Earthbend 1, but it says whenever you tap a creature for mana, you add an additional green. Now, Freed from the Real goes infinite with a lot of stuff, but with Birds of Paradise and Badger Mole Cub, your Birds of Paradise now taps for any color, which could be a blue, but also gives you a green mana now. So if you put a Freed from the Real on it, you could tap it for a blue to untap it, but you also get an additional green, so now you're getting infinite green mana that you can use to, pump up, I don't know, some abilities, or just cast a fireball and win from there. Anything with an X spell would probably win you the game if you had that in your hand. And, Birds of Paradise, Badger Mole Cub are pretty good cards on their own. So, maybe in Modern or Commander, this could be a pretty good combo as well. All right, let's go to our next one, which is using Gather the White Lotus to attack with Devilish Valet for tons of damage. This card is pretty good. It's an interesting card. 5 mana for sorcery. You put a 1/1 white ally creature token for each planes you control, and then you scry 2. Now this is 5 mana, making 5 ally tokens. If you have 5 planes out, is a pretty good rate. Making 5 creatures. You can, if you have more planes too, you can make even more for 5 mana. So this card is pretty impressive, especially in like an ally deck. It could be pretty good, but it serves like the magic number for Devilish Valet, which is you want 5 creatures entering the battlefield all at the same time to pump it up to at least a 32 damage. Devilish Valet, if you don't know this one, it doubles its power every time a creature enters the battlefield. It's got trample, it's got haste. So if you had this out on turn 3 and then turn 5, you played this and you had 5 planes out, and it's not too hard because there are some dual lands that are plains and mountains, for example, that you could play these in the same deck. This, I believe, could be Pioneer legal. You could play this, or any older formats, Commander, things like that. But if you have 5 come into play, it doubles to 2, 4, 8, 16, 32, and then you just attack for the win with trample. So pretty good. Could do even more. If you have another planes out, it would do 64 damage, and then double that, 128. So you could do a ton of damage if you have enough planes out. But I don't know. Seems like these 2 cards could go together pretty nicely. All right, let's go to our next combo, which is Infinite Sacrifice combo, using Beifong's Bounty Hunters. This card goes infinite in a lot of different ways. This one is sort of maybe a more modern combo, a standard combo. I'll show you in the next slide. This one is a 4 mana for a 4/4 human mercenary. Whenever a non-land creature you control dies, Earthbend X, where X is that creature's power. So, whenever you see an effect that says whenever something and it's not bounded, there's a lot of cards that are kind of bounded, like say it's once each turn, but this doesn't say once each turn. It also doesn't say like a non-token creature. So any creature that's a token that you sacrifice or that dies will trigger this ability. The cheapest and kind of most efficient combo I could think of with this to go infinite and just win the game would be with Colony Garden, which is a land that when it enters, it makes a 0/1 plant token, can tap for a green. So you could even use the Colony Garden to cast the Bounty Hunters. And if you have a Goblin Bombardment out, which you can sacrifice a creature to do a damage, this just goes infinite. So let me explain the combo a bit. If you have all of these out, you have the token out, you sacrifice the token to the Bombardment, do 1 damage to your opponent. That triggers the Bounty Hunters to Earthbend, and then Earthbend X, which would be 0 in this case. It doesn't really matter, but you would Earthbend onto the Colony Garden, which would make it a 0/0 token, or sorry, a creature, which then dies. But when it dies, because it's Earthbent, it comes back into play, tapped, which would then make another green plant token. So you can see how this goes. You sacrifice the plant token, triggers Earthbend onto the Colony Garden, comes back into play, does the damage. This is sort of like infinite enters the battlefield effects, infinite landfall, but Goblin Bombardment by itself will just win the game infinitely. So I don't know, maybe this is somewhat competitive. Seems like a cool, kind of pretty efficient combo. Just using a land as one of the pieces is pretty nice. But yeah, let me know if you have any other ideas. For this one, I'll show you one more that works in Standard, which is the Bloodghast Umbral Caller Zealot, and then anything that gives you an effect when something dies works with this as well. So the way this works is if you have the Zealot out, Bloodghast out, you sacrifice the Bloodghast to the Zealot. You get to surveil. Basically, you get to surveil infinite times, which is kind of nice if you want to just fill up your graveyard. But you know, just by itself, that wouldn't win you the game. But you could with the if you have Blood Witch out, you'll get to do infinite damage. So you sacrifice the Bloodghast, goes to the graveyard, triggers the Bounty Hunters. You target one of your lands to create, it would be a 2/2 land creature token. You sacrifice that to the Zealot, and then that would go to the graveyard and then come back because of Earthbending. That would trigger the landfall ability of the Bloodghast. The Bloodghast would come back into play. And then you just rinse and repeat that over and over and over again. Sacrifice the Bloodghast, Earthbend on 20 of your lands. It's a creature, sacrifice the land, comes back, landfall. So you get infinite triggers for Blood Witch, which is pretty nice. And maybe this is a pretty good combo. You just kind of play in a sacrifice deck anyways that you want. All these cards are kind of decent on their own. So, I don't know, let me know if you think this has some competitive potential in Standard as well. All right. Next up is the Planetarium of Wan Shitong combo. This is a 6-mana artifact, legendary artifact, and you can tap it for 1 mana to scry. And it says whenever you scry or surveil, look at the top card, and you can cast that card without paying its mana cost. Do this only once each turn. Now, this combo is very kind of speculative and requires a bit of luck to have something really good on the top of in the top 3 cards of your deck. But I was thinking this could be decent in like a Tron deck in Modern, or you know, if you're playing Tron in any other casual format. This could work with Emrakul, especially if you had that in the top 3 cards of your library, or just any big Eldrazi, any big card. This could generate a lot of value. Emrakul usually just wins the game whenever you cast it. You do get to cast it without paying its mana cost, so you would get the extra turn trigger, which is really good. You only get to attack, annihilate 6. So there's sort of a dream scenario where you assemble Urza Tron on turn 3, which actually isn't too hard in Modern, but you cast this, and then with a 7th mana, you use it to scry. There's something huge on top of your library, and then you just cast that for free. That wins you the game, or you just get a ton of value over the course of the game with this. So this seems like it could be potentially good in Tron decks in Modern. I don't know how good those decks are right now, but I would experiment with it if I was into playing Tron in Modern and see how good it goes. So I don't know. Let me know in the comments below if you think this is competitive as well. Okay, and this one, again, kind of just like a fun, interesting one. I was thinking about it could win as early as turn 3 using the new Fire Nation Palace, which is a land that when it enters tapped, unless you have a basic land, it taps for red, but has 2 mana to end tap it to target creature you control gains Firebending 4 until end of turn. So that's a pretty powerful effect because you're paying essentially 3 mana. You're tapping this land and 2 others to get 4 mana back. Which can accelerate like a combo with like a Rot Cursed Rakshasa, one-shot combo. There's a lot of different cards you can use with that to kind of make this deal 20. But this accelerates it by a turn just by having a land. So if you need like a basic swamp or a basic mountain in play for this to be untapped, you could, I guess, even just play this on turn 1 tapped. And that would be fine too. But if you go Rot Cursed Rakshasa on 2, which is a 5/5 trample, then on turn 3 you activate the Fire Nation Palace, target it, attack, you get 4 mana during your combat, so you could bulk up and then self-destruct. So it would deal 10 and then self-destruct, deal 10 additional, or you could double bulk up, or you could bulk up plus like a double strike effect, something like that. But getting an extra mana from turn 3 to turn 4 just by playing a land is pretty powerful. So I just want to point out some of the cool things you can do with Firebending. I think Firebending is pretty strong, to be honest. There's some really good Firebending cards and even a land here that can lead to, one-shot kills pretty easily in Standard with the right setup. So, yeah, I don't know. Let me know if you think this one is decent as well. Okay, and then last up, we've got an infinite turn combo using the Legend of Karuk or Avatar Karuk. The Legend of Karuk flips over into Avatar Karuk. This one is modern potential, probably more a commander card where you have time to set this whole thing up, but it has the exhaust ability. It's a 4/3 with exhaust ability, water bend 20, and then you take an extra turn after this one. So this one with Quicksilver Elemental can give you infinite turns. Quicksilver Elemental has the ability to gain activated abilities of target creature, and then you can copy the take an extra turn ability, and then if you need a combination of 20 mana, artifact, or creatures to tap to get the extra turn. But if you have a Quicksilver Elemental, then you can continue to copy that Waterbend ability every turn. Even though it has exhaust, if you copy it again, it'll give you a new instance of the ability to kind of get around the exhaust factor, basically the once per turn exhaust factor here. So that could potentially go infinite in Commander if you have enough sort of trinkets or mana creatures lying around to take extra turns. But yeah, could be a pretty fun one. And Avatar Karuk looks like a pretty cool card overall in general. So let me know what you think about any of these combos in the comments below. Do you think any of them have competitive potential? Are they all just kind of casual combos? I think some of them could be quite good, to be honest. And I'll be trying to brew around them a lot on this channel. Mostly standard combos on this channel. So look forward to that coming up when Avatar drops on Arena. Coming up on the channel also is just some more standard combos using through the Omen paths. And let me know in the comments below if there's any other cool Avatar combos or synergies or decks or cards that you're excited about. What are you looking forward to building? And yeah, appreciate all the feedback and support for the channel. So thanks so much. Hope you have a wonderful day, and I will see you in the next video.